Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patton, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here at Immaculate Heart of Mary Church hosting us. And with me today is Concord Fire Department Chief Dan Andrew, and you've been with us now, what, almost 10 years?
11 years.
11 years,
11
really?
and a half years, yes.
My God, that's right. I was on City Council when they hired you.
You were, I believe.
Because I wrote you a letter out in Utah.
Yes, we had a conversation.
Utah, and I thought you were probably Latter-day Saint, because I didn't know, coming from Utah to Salt Lake out that way, but that's where they all usually are. But anyway, no, you came in and you've done a good job with the department. I mean, based on what they cut engine one, but you've got rescue one, not the truck.
Well, we have the backup units, but we only have 4 people in that station. So
that's it?
That's it. We have 3 on the ladder truck and the battalion chief.
Why is it that you watch on TV? You know, it used to be just like Engine 7, Engine 4, Engine... Now it's these big, huge trucks, the tower truck. What's the expense of running a truck like that versus the engine?
Of the tower ladder, it's you know, it's pretty close to about the same. Yeah.
I feel
the vehicle. They're all pretty large vehicles.
But I have to feel sorry for him going around these roundabouts. I don't know how in the world
they negotiate. They've done. The nice thing is that they have low curbs, so others besides. I've watched people drive straight through them. It's always fun to watch that. They head straight through. They don't make any turn. But they've made them pretty low barrier, and the 2 that we've had for a while, and the others, they're very emergency vehicle friendly. So thanks to our city engineers over the years who have really been responsive to our needs.
I mean, even the school buses, I don't know how, I would hate to try to drive one around there.
Yeah, it would.
I mean,
well,
especially wintertime.
Fortunately, the drivers of those vehicles are probably better than you and or I are.
I'm sure they are. But no, as we're coming up near Fire Prevention Week, and this is what I was saying to Brian off camera, I can remember when Fire Prevention Week was a big deal.
Yes.
In the city and across the nation. I mean, it was a big deal. You had the fire departments going to all the schools, and we would, when I was in elementary over at Dame, of course they would practice the different bells that you had. Like if it was 1 bell, it was a fire drill, you went out. If it was 3 bells, you went out and sat down in the hallways, crouched down with it because of whatever, and then if there was another bigger set of bells, or it was something else. But you know, it's just like, do they even do them anymore?
The school should be doing fire drills as part of the life safety code, and we just don't have the staff to oversee any of that. But we are going out next week. It'll probably take us a few weeks to get through, but we go to the second grades and distribute some materials, and we try and make contact with all the schools.
But there used to be a big fire prevention parade in Concord.
Yeah.
What stopped that?
Call volume and staffing.
Really?
Yeah. We hit just at the 9,000 call level last year, and as you probably know from the Christmas parade, we have a hard time keeping units in that. There are many years and most years when 1 or all of those units have to leave on a call.
Yeah,
so
I know.
It's that, and we just don't have the money to hire people back for that stuff. We hire people back to maintain minimum staffing, to cover training and things like that, but we don't have the money to cover all of the community events.
My gosh. What happened? Because they cut your budget or something? Or they just...
Well, as you know from sitting in the city council, there's a lot of appropriate scrutiny about where we're spending money, and the property tax base, and especially with a city that houses as many government and nonprofit and tax-exempt properties, it's hard to grow the tax base. So we've had to make some tough decisions and to maintain essential services. But many of the things that were prominent a few years ago just aren't there anymore.
They talked once about moving the Heights station over to the corner of Airport Road and Regional Drive. I guess that's never going to happen now.
We were actually looking at a fire station location study coming up probably within a year. And we'll make some determinations about, we have a study done about where the most appropriate locations would be. The Heights Station is 53 years old now. And
yeah, I remember when they built it.
Yeah, well, I was certainly around then too.
Yeah.
All of our stations will be, in a couple of years, at least 40 years old. The Manor Fire Station is 45, and it's in the point where we need to make the assessment of, do we continue to invest in these buildings, or do we look for new sites and rebuild and sell those properties? But yes, the Heights Station is something we're looking at. As you're very aware, this district is the fastest growing call volume of any of them. Typically, the Broadway station has and still remains the #1 call volume station, but the Heights is rapidly catching up.
Well, of course, Engine 1's gone, so that would have taken the central part of the city.
It does, yes. That's
So
been gone for
Engine
10
7
years.
must do East Concord and come also down onto Main Street too? Or?
They do. The other three
Engine
companies
4?
have to come in to cover the hole when we need a pump downtown.
Wow.
And the tower ladder can certainly handle the medical work and other stuff, but we really do need the 3 engines to come downtown. But those discussions were long ago. That engine has been out of service
I know.
for 11 years, half-time, and 10 years we have not seen Engine 1.
Boy.
And I very much doubt I know I will not see it in my career. So.
Even renumbering the engines, huh?
Oh, I guess if we called Engine 7 Engine 1, we'd get it back. But I think other than that would, I think people would see through that.
But I can remember the houses that sat on Engine 7's the station there. They tore those houses down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there were,
Yes.
I thought that they were probably single-family homes.
No, well, they were single-family homes, but there was like 2 or 3 of them right in there.
Yeah.
The Locke family was one that had a house right there where Engine 7 sits.
Mm-hmm.
Next to them, where it was Carl Greeley, he had an apartment, a small apartment house plus his own house there, and that was all torn down.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing what they built in there. But yes, I remember the houses that were there, and I remember when they built Engine 7, because they didn't. There was only one bay on each side.
Yeah.
They brought up Engine 2 to be Engine 7, and they brought up a tanker. Tank 1 was brought up here. Then they finally brought the rescue up here, the ambulance there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember them. Yeah, then of course when they ever went to that stupid yellow color.
Oh, we did.
Was,
Yeah, the Concord did do the yellow for a while. I've seen the photos. Unfortunately,
that was disgusting.
that era was over. I think most American fire departments probably had a yellow face.
Oh yes, yeah. Canterbury had a darker yellow, but we had the lime yellow or whatever it was. Oh.
Yeah, I went through the lime green, yellow. Yeah,
Oh,
it was delightful. I will recall the year was 1983 when we went back to red,
Yeah.
and there was a silent cheer from the firefighting forces about that.
Well, of course, at one time, except for Ladder 1 and the Pennacook trucks up there, up on Washington Street at the time,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
they were red. Ladder 1 was red, which was sold to Hopkinton, but the other trucks were all white.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one day, years ago, when we went to a range function over in Maine, I think it was in North Berwick, we found the old Engine 4 out there on somebody's private property for sale.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
it was out there. And
Berwick,
I
Maine.
thought,
Mm-hmm.
we stopped the car and I looked, I said, that says Concord, New Hampshire Engine 4. For heaven's sakes.
It's strange what you see.
I don't know where it is
Yeah.
now, but that's what it was back years ago. And yeah, I know, because they were all white. And then, of course, they went to the red, and then yellow, then back now to red. But I don't know, and then, of course, the police department had the ambulance.
Yes.
And they had they were blue, and the big paddy wagon, what they used to call paddy wagon, but that was a bigger unit. And then, of course, that got to the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they used to read the monitor used to have the fire calls in the paper and say, Engine 1, 2, and 4, ladder 1, hose 1, whatever the heck hose 1
Yes.
was.
Yeah. All those sorting out the old central station.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
it. My
yeah.
gosh, it doesn't seem. And I see that that on the rooftop there, what do they call it? Not weather vane, but maybe so. It's still up there on that roof.
It is, and that is not the original.
Oh, it's not.
The original is in our possession. Those are very valuable. That was given by Mark Cohn, city council member
for
and
goodness
longtime community benefactor.
Huh.
And after it was removed by the new owner, it was kept by the city. The city of
Yeah.
Concord owns the original. And now Mark had stepped forward several years ago and had a replacement made so that that particular historic
Yeah.
perspective is maintained.
And now I see they bought the old Knights of Columbus Hall over there on Bradley Street, the Union was it?
The Union, yes, the Firefighters Union
Yeah.
bought that about 2 years ago. They've done a wonderful job in renovation, and it's a very functional hall. They're going to have a Halloween party for department members and Concord ER staff, and then they're hosting a chili cook-off on Sunday the 27th. But
Oh, wow.
the firefighters are doing everything they can to make that a community center, and especially in that area, which we need places for gathering, and it was originally, I think, the Lutheran Church.
Yes, Episcopal. It was Episcopal church, I think.
I thought it was the original Concordia.
Oh, good Ben. He was just here. Could I ask him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it was a church, and the Knights of Columbus took it over and made it into their hall.
and the firefighters bought up the Knights of Columbus, but
Yeah.
they have done a marvelous job of restoring it. They have some historical photographs lining the halls, and there's a function area in the basement, and it's a really neat spot. I think you'll remember Chief Allen Hall, who retired
Oh,
in
yes.
1989.
They
Chief Hall passed
yeah.
away a few
Yeah.
months ago, and we had a memorial service, a Concord memorial service
I
in
remember
there.
that.
It was very well attended,
Mm.
very nice.
Yeah, the first fire chief I remember was Duncan Murdoch.
Duncan Murdoch served
person I
from
remember.
1958 to 1965.
That's the first one I remember. Then
Yes.
Clayton Higgins came in there.
And between them was Chief Earl Giles, served from
That's right.
1965
I
to
remember. Yeah, I
1971.
remember Giles, and then there was after that was Ed.
And Constant.
Yes,
Mhm.
I just saw him a month ago down at Vino's. But yeah, it doesn't seem possible. And then there was one in between there.
Yes, Richard Judkin, who is still a fire chief.
Is he
And
like from Laconia?
He was from Laconia, and he came to Concord, and he served here from 1984 to 1988, and I forget the jurisdiction he serves now, but he's still active in the fire service.
There was somebody before that was after Higgins. No,
Higgins,
No.
Constant, Judkin.
no, it wasn't. He wasn't chief. He was fire prevention officer or something. It wasn't Tommy Burrell.
Oh, Tommy's, yeah.
But there was
That's
somebody else in between there. He was from, I think, Laconia. He had dark hair and a young guy. And I remember him. He was, I can't remember his name now, but he was in there for a while. And that was in the early 80s, if I remember right. Late 70s, early 80s. But, yeah, and then of course the pole, they come sliding down the pole from the second floor.
And no poles left anymore in
I
the four
know, my
stations. Well,
gosh.
technically, there is a pole in Central Station, but it's not functional. It's out of the old Central Station and is there right as you walk through the main door, and it passes through the first floor into the basement into the museum.
At
So
the
we
old
did-
Central?
At the current Central.
Or current Central?
They salvaged one pole
Oh,
and
for gosh
put it in there.
sakes.
The old Central, under the very good stewardship of Jim Duramus, the YMCA underwent a significant renovation last year. And I was able to take Chief Clayton Higgins, who served from 1972 to 1979.
Yep.
Chief Higgins will be turning 90 next
Really?
month, and is venerable, and I bump into him in coffee shops, and he's still, fortunately for us, very active. He's had a few health bumps, but he's
Yeah.
remarkably active, generous, and extraordinarily kind man. Just
Oh, yes.
He's a treasure. He's
Went
a
to
community
school with
treasure.
his daughters.
Yes.
One
yeah.
was ahead, Margaret was ahead, well, they used to call her Margaret, it was Peggy now, but she was a year ahead of me, and then Patty was a year after me.
Mhm.
And she's married, I think, to Tom Croto, who was the school board member.
Yes, I believe she is, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, Clayton's wife, Rachel, was a nurse at the
Yes.
school, at Runlet, for a while, so I remember them. Yeah, they lived on the Heights for years, on Robinson Street, and they built a house down on East Side Drive toward East Concord, and they came back to Pembroke Road.
Yes, they did, and lived there until after Rachel's passing, and
Yeah.
the chief is now a resident of one of a very beautiful complex for our more mature citizens.
He doesn't live on, I thought he still lived there.
No, he left there about 2 years ago.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
But I'm glad to see him, not on a frequent enough basis,
Yeah.
but he maintains a high level of interest in Concord Fire.
Oh, he
and,
always will.
It's truly
Yeah.
where his heart is, and as he will
Oh,
tell you,
yeah.
if you cut him smoke will come out.
I bet it will.
He's a remarkable man. We're glad to have these icons of our past.
Oh,
still
sure.
around, so.
Yes. Yeah, I remember, yeah, Stanley Canoia, he's still living. He was a firefighter for years.
Oh, Stanley, definitely. Stanley's a character. I
Dave
think Stanley
Stanley
came to us in 1964. Dave, yes, we have a good number. I think I counted 92 retirees.
Really?
Yes, and
Oh
I think that is
gosh.
missing a couple of them. So.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, I remember David Corliss. I still see him and his wife Sharon once in a great while.
Yeah, it's I bump into him about once every other day. I'll see one of the retired members, and saw Dick Hansen the other day. I was just coming out of Planet Fitness, and Dick is just doing well. So I'm glad. Many firefighters don't do well. They have occupational-related cancers or heart disease and other things that cause their retirements to be far too short.
Tell you, one of the best dispatches I ever heard was David Norris, and his widow, ma'am, still lives in Bosque, Lower Bosque, there. She's very friendly with my sister, but David was he was an excellent dispatcher for the fire.
I don't know David.
He had some kind of a disease at the end of it. He had a hard time walking, but he died young. When I'm saying young, I'm thinking he was in his early 40s or something.
Very young, yeah.
And he was a super dispatcher. Whoa, his voice was just, you just knew it. You know, he was on there when Cotter was on there, and God, who was the other one too? And then of course Paul Smith came in there, and another one. I can't think of his name. I can see him, but I can't remember the names. But you know, it's been a lot of changes there. But no, the fire prevention parade was always a big deal. And I offered to get it started, offered them to do it, but they just didn't seem to want to do it. So
we just can't put the resources into it anymore.
Yeah, it's sad because I mean it wasn't no bands or floats, but it was just all the apparatus from the different towns would come in. And how many towns do you dispatch for?
22.
Gee, goodness. I mean, I took a special note of that big fire in Northwood the other night because the Grange used to meet there. It was called Mountain Laurel Grange, and I went to meetings there. And of course they had since to close, but to see that hall, like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I haven't gone by and it was too sad.
But then I read all the fire departments, that 4-alarm fire that went there.
Yes,
even from
we
Dover.
send units, yes, yeah.
So you do, of course, Concord, Canterbury, Pembroke, Allenstown, Epsom, Northwood, Pittsfield, Canterbury, Loudon, Salisbury, Webster, Warner, Hopkinton, Henniker, Dunbarton, right?
Right, Hillsborough.
Hillsborough's in here? Really?
Hillsborough came in about 3 years ago.
Is Bradford in there too?
Bradford is in there, and the most recent addition is the town of Washington.
Boy, that's way out there.
It is way out there. We had a meeting there in June, and it was about a 45-minute trip from my house, so it was a long haul.
Now, you don't do Andover or
No.
Danbury. New London, of course, has their own. Newbury? Where's Newbury? Out in New London?
Yes, yeah, it's up that direction of the
22 towns.
It's a fair amount. We have some good people. Hooksett.
Yeah, that's
Hooksett is the second largest town in the country.
I was going to say, yeah, it's got to be, because that was, for years they wanted to come in county dispatch and they wouldn't take them. Because they were too busy. But, so when Concord got sent to Northwood, they sent an engine or they sent a tanker? Or?
Engine and ambulance.
Oh, an ambulance too? Wow. Gosh. I don't know how you do it. And you're down how many men or women, firefighters?
Currently, we are working with a strength. We're authorized 100, and we have 98 positions filled.
Wow, that's
and
good.
we are about ready to hire dispatchers, so we'll just be one short.
Wow,
so I would
that's
anticipate within a few months we'll be.
Yeah.
We were at full staffing. We typically stay at full staffing. We, unlike the police department, which has some real challenges both in terms of officers who are there, who for one reason or another are not on the line, and also recruiting problems.
Yeah.
And there's a very long lead time. We bring people on who have the firefighter 1 and 2 credentials and the EMT certification and after some initial training, they can go to work pretty quickly.
I remember when Don DeAngelis, I trained him as a dispatcher. Then he went to work for Concord Fire. Now he's effing fire chief.
He's Epping Fire Chief. He still lives in Concord. Don and I
Yep.
have coffee just right up the road at Starbucks about
Yeah,
once every couple of months, and it's just always absolutely delightful to
we were best
see
friends
him.
for years.
Oh, he's a magnificent man. He's a
Because
great
his
guy.
family come from the Heights here at one time
Mhm.
on the Loudon Road.
He's not far from his roots. He's not very far at all.
Yep.
He's a Concord guy all the way through.
But no, I mean it's sad because you know the fire. To me, fire. I mean I know in Salisbury the fire department got everything. Police got nothing. But they were very much, you know, fire was a big thing. For them.
It is still a big thing.
My uncle was fire chief up there for years, then fire warden. But no, it's sad because I mean I can still remember as a kid, we'd be down on Main Street, North Main Street on Friday night, and all of a sudden you'd hear the big horns going off. Come in, you could tell they were coming down the street, Warren Street,
Mm-hmm.
and which way they turned. And if they went toward the north end, then you had to pray that it wasn't going to the Heights because you didn't know, you know,
Mhm.
at that time there was no station over there. But yeah, I can remember. And then you'd hear the big gong, like box alarm was going off. It'd be either 2 blasts, 4 blasts. Okay, that's box 24. So we're gonna look it up, see where box
Yes.
24 was.
Yeah.
Or KXL would come on and say, oh, this is courtesy of Jackman and Lang Insurance telling you fire department's going to box 24. You know, and oh brother. And it was interesting. All those days. Oh, boy, that's right. Bogue, you have Bogue too. I forgot about
Both there too,
them.
yes, yeah.
Another town.
I can do it alphabetically.
I bet you
And
could.
I'd have to sit down. I think
I bet you
usually
could.
I'll miss one, and it's one of those very obvious ones. But occasionally when I'm trying to go to sleep, and it does help, I'll try and rattle through all the towns to compact and count them off.
Now, your wife is still an Episcopal priest, right?
Yes, she's currently serving St. Paul's Church in downtown Concord.
Oh, she is.
Yes, has been there about 3.5 years now.
What's her last? Does she go by Andrus?
No, she's Cheryl Moore.
Oh. Well, who was the official rector there?
That is Kate Atkinson.
That's what I thought.
Kate just celebrated her 10th anniversary, and Cheryl and Kate have worked together for a few years. They had for a few years, originally Herb Sprout was the curate there, and then Keith Patterson, and then Drew Courtwright, who left last June.
He was on the show, and he sent me an email, said he was leaving. I thought, oh, I don't know, where'd he go?
Drew and Alice went to the New York area.
Oh, my.
Alice is doing some graduate study. Drew was involved in the parish down there, but Cheryl has been part of the downtown Concord scene for a while now.
No, is your wife Cheryl, is she the hospital? She the fire department chaplain?
No, we have used various clergy, and at this point, Amelia Halstead, who is the pastor at First Congregational Church, has been, well, not exactly official, has been just very, very generous in her attendance at events and supporting us and being a resource. And it's been a very neat relationship.
Because John Johnson was for many
Oh, John
years.
was for many years.
Oh,
Reverend
my God.
Johnson was with Congregational Church, and I had the great pleasure of knowing him and the greater pleasure one night of taking him to retirement dinner. So John was wonderful, and he passed away in December of 2010, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and his funeral was well attended. You would have thought it was a firefighter funeral. There were so many
I'm sure.
uniforms. He
I'm
was
sure.
much beloved of the Concord Fire Department and much beloved of the community.
Well, I know we were so happy when we found the Grange that our recipient got the state award. But we will be having a function here in the Concord area, the restaurant, sometime late November, early December with him. And our first responder got the award, state award too, and that's Father Ray over here at the church.
Father Ray, good for him.
Well, I had honored 3 of them. I honored him, Reverend Father John Hopkins, and Jason Wells, because all 3 of them, and they picked Father Ray as the one at the state level. So I'm going to present his award during Mass over here at some point.
It's marvelous. They're all 3 just remarkable people.
Oh, they are.
Jason's moved on now and replaced by a tremendous young lady named Kate Harmon Sibberine, who's taking over at Grace. And I know her indirectly, but it's an exciting time. There are some great faith leaders in our community.
How often do you get called out to go to these box alarms and stuff? I mean, I know I see battalion chief, but it's not you driving, so.
I don't go on a lot of calls.
You don't?
I do not.
What?
I will usually respond on working incidents, but my job is in the office. We have a battalion chief on duty every day. If they need something, I'm there. But we also have two deputy chiefs, who both of whom serve as battalion chiefs at Concord, and they're working with their teams. They're the captains of the football teams, and my job is primarily, and even at fires, I'm not often in command. That's the battalion chief's responsibility. So I'll respond on major incidents, but I go to meetings, and isn't today I'm working on some material for the Public Safety Board, and administration keeps me busy.
Well, you remind Engine 7 crew that if the Grange can do something, I know they had these toy drives on Christmas a lot. We'd love to be a part of that, you know, but they never call us. And so anything that we can do over there, we were thinking of doing something for Fire Prevention Week for them at the Heights Station, but we haven't talked about it yet, more than we talked. And I'm still happy that my grandmother's roses are still on the side of the building.
Yes, for a good number of years, yeah.
Well, when they took our house for $393, we took some over there. But I know we're getting short on time, and I know you've got to get back to the station. But I'm so happy that you came on, Dan, and you brought us up to date with what's going on in the fire department. And I know Ken Keel, I'm sure I'll be seeing him next month at the fireworks down there at the
Absolutely,
cornfields.
yes. Ken is a great, great guy.
Yeah, I know it. Well, with that in mind, we've been talking with Fire Chief Dan Andrus, and if you have any questions about the fire department, please give him a call. Fire Prevention Week is coming up, so please use your senses and get your batteries changed in your fire alarm boxes at home, or smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms and whatever else. Because, and then coming up, check your Christmas light cords. And water that tree if you got a.
We will have something for every season.
Anyhow, but thanks, Brian, for being my director again, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon on Around Town. I'm Dick Pat.